Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in a small log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, to a poor farming couple, Thomas and Nancy Lincoln. From the very beginning, his life was a struggle. His family had little money, few possessions, and almost no access to education. When Abraham was just 9 years old, tragedy struck. His beloved mother died of milk sickness, leaving behind a deep sadness in his young heart. Despite the pain, he never lost his will to learn. His father remarried a kind woman named Sarah Bush Lincoln, who became a loving mother figure and encouraged Abraham's curiosity. With no school nearby, he taught himself to read and write, often borrowing books from neighbors and studying by the light of the fireplace late into the night. Books became his closest friends, and he grew up reading the Bible, Shakespeare, and law books, slowly shaping a mind that would one day shape the world. As he entered his teenage years, Lincoln worked hard at whatever job he could find, splitting wood, building fences, ferrying boats, and clerking in small stores. People in his town quickly noticed two things about him: his honesty and his storytelling. His reputation for fairness earned him the nickname Honest Abe, while his humor and kindness made everyone trust him. Yet success did not come easily. Lincoln failed in business, lost elections, faced heartbreak, and was burdened with debt. But every time he fell, he rose stronger. His life became a symbol of persistence, a reminder that failure is only a step toward success if you refuse to give up. In 1832, he entered politics for the first time, running for the Illinois state legislature, and lost badly. But instead of giving up, he focused on learning law. In 1836, after years of self-study, he became a lawyer and moved to Springfield, Illinois, where he quickly earned respect as a brilliant, honest attorney who stood for justice, not money. He loved to argue cases that defended the innocent or poor, and he was famous for his clear logic and emotional words. His speeches could touch hearts and convince minds. In the 1840s, Lincoln served one term in the U.S. House of Representatives, but it wasn't until the 1850s that his name began to echo across America. The country was tearing apart over one burning issue: slavery. The southern states depended on enslaved labor, while the northern states opposed it. When Congress passed laws allowing slavery to spread into new territories, Lincoln's moral compass could not stay silent. He stepped back into politics, speaking passionately against slavery. In 1858, he faced Senator Stephen Douglas in a series of public debates that electrified the nation. Though he lost that election, his speeches made him a national figure. His words, "A house divided against itself cannot stand," captured the crisis perfectly. America could not remain half free and half enslaved. It had to choose. 2 years later, in 1860, Abraham Lincoln ran for president as the candidate of the new Republican Party. He had no money, no powerful family, and very little formal education. But he had integrity, wisdom, and the trust of ordinary people. Against all odds, he won. On March 4, 1861, he took the oath of office as the 16th President of the United States. But his victory immediately triggered chaos. The southern states, furious about his anti-slavery stance, began to secede from the Union, forming their own government, the Confederate States of America. Before Lincoln could even settle into the White House, America was at war with itself. The Civil War began in April 1861, and it would become one of the bloodiest conflicts in history. As the nation burned, Lincoln faced unimaginable pressure. His generals disagreed with him, his advisors doubted him, and his own people questioned whether the Union could survive. Yet through sleepless nights and countless heartbreaks, he stood firm. His goal was not revenge, but unity. His mission was not power, but freedom. In 1863, amid the blood and chaos, Lincoln made one of the boldest moves in history. He issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring that all enslaved people in Confederate states were free. That single act changed the meaning of the war. It was no longer just about saving the Union. It was about defining the soul of America. Lincoln's courage gave hope to millions and turned him from a politician into a moral leader. Later that year, when thousands had died in the Battle of Gettysburg, Lincoln delivered one of the shortest yet most powerful speeches ever, the Gettysburg Address. In just 272 words, he reminded the nation that freedom and equality were the foundation of democracy, saying, "Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." Those words still echo through time. By 1864, as the war neared its end, Lincoln faced re-election. Many thought he would lose, but his honesty, humility, and vision won the hearts of the people once again. He was re-elected as president, and just a few months later, victory was finally in sight. On April 9, 1865, the Confederate Army surrendered. The Civil War was over. The Union was saved. Slavery was dying. The dream of equality had survived. But just when the world needed him most, tragedy struck. On the night of April 14, 1865, only 5 days after the war ended, Lincoln went with his wife Mary to watch a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. During the performance, he was shot in the head by John Wilkes Booth, a Southern sympathizer who believed he was avenging the South. Lincoln was carried across the street, but the wound was fatal. The next morning, on April 15, 1865, Abraham Lincoln breathed his last. The nation that he had saved wept like never before. Churches tolled their bells, men and women cried in the streets, and even his enemies mourned the loss of a man whose heart was too big for hate. Lincoln was laid to rest in Springfield, Illinois, the same place where his journey as a lawyer and leader had begun. His legacy, however, was immortal. He had not only preserved a nation, but also redefined freedom. From a poor boy reading by candlelight to the president who ended slavery, his story became a symbol of the American dream. Proof that character, honesty, and perseverance can overcome any obstacle. He believed that all men were created equal and that kindness was stronger than cruelty. He once said, "I am a slow walker, but I never walk back." Those words describe his life perfectly. He walked slowly, patiently, learning from failure, forgiving enemies, and standing for what was right even when it was dangerous. His life reminds the world that true greatness is not about wealth or power, but about service, compassion, and the courage to do what's right, even when you stand alone. More than a century later, his wisdom still guides generations. His face carved into Mount Rushmore, his words etched in history, and his spirit alive in every act of justice and freedom. Abraham Lincoln, the man who rose from a log cabin to the White House, will forever remain a symbol of hope, equality, and the unbreakable human spirit.